go.
Good day, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the podcast with your host, Erik Yoshimoto.
Hey. Hey, everybody. Thanks for that wonderful introduction. Welcome to the podcast, everybody. My name is Erik. I am your host. Just want to thank you guys for tuning in. Tuning in is kind of weird to say because it's not radio, so you don't actually tune to it, but thank you for finding it and checking it out. I really appreciate it. This is the first episode of the yet-to-be-named podcast. Still have a couple ideas in mind, but not really sure what channels to go through to make sure that they're available. So we're still figuring that part out, but we definitely have a vision in mind for the podcast, and that would be just interviewing or talking to people that I think are interesting. Open-minded people who have interesting stories about their lives, where they are, where they've been. You know, just people on the streets here in Hawaii. Yeah, so what? It's fine, we can just go.
It's the first show.
Oh, actually, before we start talking about the first show, I just want to say that this is probably the fourth or fifth time I tried to record this. I was trying to do it by myself earlier, and it felt super awkward talking to nobody. But that's why I'm doing it now with Nicole in the car, so I actually feel like I can talk to somebody. I'm looking at her, but she's driving. But I am talking.
And I was told not to look at him, so
she can't look
really
at me because it makes me.
for me right now.
But I think I'm just being honest, and this is where we are in the show. It's our first one, and we plan to do more of them, and I think it'll get better. This podcast, this first episode with Kumu Hiwa, is actually the second recording I did, but I'm gonna put this one out first because I think it's ready. And when you listen to it, you'll hear that I tried to start off with one topic in mind, and that was hula, but we kind of got sidetracked and talked about other things that weren't really what I had planned, but I think that went well, and it flowed nicer when she could just freeform and it wasn't really restricted, and I kind of like that. I kind of want that to be the feel of the podcast for every episode, just talking to people. Geez, sorry, I gotta just say, we're driving and there's a car like blowing out choke smoke out of his exhaust on the freeway. But yeah, that was a sidetrack. But yeah, you can expect a lot of those on these podcasts because we're not gonna have any rules. We're gonna talk about whatever we want, stuff we're interested in, stuff the guests are interested in. I think you'll enjoy who we have. But getting back, so this is the first one. I hope you enjoy it. Thank you for listening, and keep checking back because we'll have more, and hopefully we'll get a legit website up and start plugging stuff. But enjoy the first episode with Kumu Hiwa on the Yet to Be Named podcast. So welcome everybody. This is another episode of the podcast. I'm your host, Erik, and with me today I have Kumu Hiwa. Can I say the halau name?
Sure.
Halau hula kalehua tuahine from
Manoa.
Yeah. I was almost gonna say Kalihi because we're in Kalihi now recording.
Technically in Kalihi, but
roots is in Manoa.
In Manoa, definitely.
And she is a Kumu hula, and even I don't dance hula, but I take some lessons from you, so I would even call you my Kumu too, my life Kumu maybe. But so today I think we're just gonna talk about her journey in hula and music and what she kind of sees for future generations and what she's doing to spread that love, I guess. So if you want to take it from there, I guess the first thing question I can ask, an easy one, is when or how old were you when you first started dancing hula?
I was 2 years old. My mom, who is now, her name is Ipo Lanivan, but she's actually a Kumu hula as well. We graduated together in 2006, which is a cool story. She wasn't really a hula person, but had some training. But she fell in love with the culture and began taking classes in language and got further into language. Anyway, the point is, my mom encouraged me, or as what most Hawaiian parents do, or local people do, is stick their kid in some kind of activity.
Right.
And hula was the best fit. My father is a Hawaiian historian / musician / keeper of some serious knowledge. And he's a recording artist as well with Palaniwan. And he was at the height of his career. I think it was still growing at that time when I was born. And he was actually one of the original members of the Sons of Hawaii. Not a lot of people know that. And then anyway, mom and dad decided that I needed to dance hula, so I got lucky and I started out with Kealoha Kalama, who taught out of Bishop Museum. This is like old school days.
Like what? You don't have to say. I want to ask what year it was. You don't have to give it away if you don't want to give
no,
away.
that's okay.
People
How
can
old
do the
I am,
math
right?
and figure it out. But
that'd be 77, around there.
Yeah.
77, 78, and moved over to. I learned under Kimo Alama, now Kimo Alama Keolana. And when we say these names now, they are, I guess you'd say, the gurus of hula now. And to be able to spout off these names and say that I trained under them or spent time learning from them is like gem. That makes me feel awesome that I got a chance to learn from them, especially now that I'm a teacher. And then I went over to Chinky spent 10 years there, and then Leimo Miho, and then May Lobenstein, and then finally finishing as a Kumu hula under May Kamamalu Klein. Got a lot of names there. Got a lot of, to me, important names. And those names have names that come before them. So we talk about like genealogy, not just in family, but in hula, that's important. To have had all of these different traditions kind of embedded in the hula that we carry on today. So yeah, started at 2.
no, that's good. I was just listening and I kind of lost track of what I was thinking of next. But so you come from a very long hula lineage.
Yeah, I think that's neat, and I can spot off the people that I learned from, but what I hope for most hula people is that they go beyond that and they know who are their teachers' teachers and their teachers' teachers' teachers. And when you get a sense of where those people came from and how long the hula has been that tie that binds all of these generations together, and how important our role is in keeping these traditions alive, it kind of gives the dancer or the teacher a better sense of kuleana.
Like it puts more weight behind it.
Absolutely.
You're not just carrying your name.
You're not just putting your hands from side to side and just moving around. We're not dancing to the music on the radio or anything. That's the fun part. But the spiritual part, the part that keeps you going, is a purpose. Having a purpose. What is the purpose of hula in general? But this is a huge subject. But hula is definitely a lifestyle.
Right. Yes, definitely. I can agree with that.
I think it takes a special person, and we were taught that hula chooses you and you don't choose it.
Right.
And it definitely does. And if you are chosen, then it is what it is. And you hope that the people that come into your life as life partners, or even your children, that they have an understanding of what kind of role hula plays. And I really hope that the counterparts, or the people who are their partners, can grow from that. And I think, Eric, you're like the prime example. All the people out there listening, like, seriously, please follow Hula Girl Swish.
It's funny because me and Nicole were talking, and we were just saying, growing up here, we all had Hawaiiana class in 4th grade, and even then I never really took it serious, never appreciated it, and kind of growing up still really didn't until I met Nicole and joined this hula family and started having more access to it. And I mean, I think it comes with I'm
exposure,
older now,
right?
and I know what kind of questions I want to ask and that kind of stuff. But back then I didn't really care. I just was more concerned about playing with my friends.
Of course.
But I feel lucky to be within a group that has that knowledge that I can, if I want to, I can ask and find out. Like,
I'll be the first to say the hula is obviously, it's the culture, it's the history, the traditions, the legends, and everything's wrapped up in the hula. I mean, and I can't help but to say, but Kalakaua did coin the phrase, hula is a language of the heart, and therefore the heartbeat of the Hawaiian people. What an amazing amazing choice of words, because it does speak everything. However, beyond that, hula teaches us. So the group that we were when I first started to teach, we're not that same group of people. I think that's the beauty of it, is that we're growing together and learning from each other, and because of the experiences that we go through together, or the obstacles that we face, that's where the learning happens, not just for them but for me as well. And so I'm learning from my students, and I think that's what we're supposed to do. We're supposed to.
Yeah, I agree. In life, that's what our goal is, to support each other and uplift each other, to be the best you that you can be.
I know.
You know what I mean? But it's true. It's absolutely true.
Yeah. I'm a super firm believer that if everything was perfect and everyone just danced wonderfully and nobody had drama, and it'd just be a boring ride, and there's no story to tell. And that's what hula is telling our life stories, and it is our life that we're going through, the heartache, the happiness, the problems, the solutions. It's all of that is. It's funny because it just sounds like words right now, but really, if that's what we feel. We truly feel that way, and the people who accept hula into their life really allow it to help us make our way through life. Oh, that's kind of cool.
Yeah, it's deep. I mean, it is like a family, and I mean, it's like your immediate family within whichever halau you might belong to.
Right.
But it's a greater extended family of everybody who's keeping the traditions alive through whatever school they came from and whoever they learned from. The main goal, I think, of everybody is just to keep the culture and perpetuate.
We talk about that a lot in it because, I'm not sure if this is going to sound controversial, but there's always, when we get groups of people together, and when think about competitions and whatnot, and hula definitely has its competitions, there can be spaces for negativity, but if all of the kumu hula in the world and all the hula people in the world really come to recognize that our goal is exactly the same across the board, that in these fun situations where we get to measure our abilities and we're judged for those things, but at the end of the day, you're right, we're perpetuating our culture, but it's because of that even playing ground. It's because we all come from the same space, all come from the same ground, and we're all going to head the same direction, and our end result is that we want hula to look like hula 50, 100, 150, 200 years from now, and that if we're teaching our students the right things, that they in turn will have that same knowledge to pass forward and come out. you know.
I have a question. This one it could be controversial, but how do you feel that like competition-wise, like having hula competitions might have changed hula over time?
Yeah, I can't even remember what, I sat in on a discussion with a couple of heavy hitter elders. And I think I was very young at the time. I was still in high school maybe. And I listened to them talk about competition. And I really thought that at that age, I thought, oh, they didn't like competition. They didn't think competition was good. But what I got from it was, I heard these kupunas say, competition is good for them. It's good for all of us because it forces us to rise to the occasion. Whereas we wouldn't. You know, that the students, the halo, the kumu, raise their own bar and try to strive for something higher. And I think there's so much, it's wonderful to have competition for our people and our culture, because that means we're soaking it in even more, and we're driving it home even more. And because of the competitions, we have more sharing happening. We get to see what the other halo are doing. Without those venues, we wouldn't be able to do so. You know, we had the traditional moments, which we really don't have anymore. You know, the ceremonies and those kinds of things where you would see the hula,
the cultural,
those kind of deeper things. They don't really happen all that often.
Should have more of those.
Yeah, I know, right?
Just sharing opportunities for everyone to come to.
Yeah, but so speaking of competitions, I think it depends which competitions. I think they're all wonderful, but
they all have their purpose.
We got the levels, right? So when you're reaching up the higher levels of competition, I think it's a test. It's definitely a test of will and patience and understanding. It's all of the emotions you can gather, and all of the skills and values of a group of people, which is really a crazy thought. Like, it's really crazy to think that I'm gonna gather, or 30 whatever people gather together and make this one thing that came into this one person's mind come to life.
Yeah. I think you said that in one of the interviews.
Oh, I did?
You know, the Mary Monarch video.
It's crazy, right? It's like who does that? Like,
not a lot of people. But so speaking of competition, I don't know if the listeners, they probably won't know this, but you're one of few kumu who have the distinction of winning Miss Keiki Hula. Miss Aloha Hula.
I'm one of 5. There's 5 of us. And I really didn't know that.
And then to move on to become a kumu.
Yeah.
And then now with this past year, actually take a first place win.
I know, right? What? That's crazy.
How did that feel when?
Yeah,
go through. That's actually that's a good story. That's actually a really good story. I was there for that, so I know it's a good story.
This is so fun to talk about the really backside story, because we can't really tell this story to anybody, but
we're going to be telling it to
we're telling it to you now. This is really what seriously, we're this halal from this totally loving halal that totally digs each other and loves each other from Manoa, getting our nourishment and our spiritual guidance from the rains of Manoa, and just kind of underdog people, small young halal that wanted to just be able to contend with the heavy hitters, with the big dogs. And I think this is our 4th year, and I can imagine going there every year and waiting for the results. Sitting during the award ceremony is probably the worst part of the whole journey. It's terrible.
Nervous, everything.
It's everything, and you're on television going through whatever emotion, and I would never say that it felt terrible to not place, because it didn't. It's disappointing to not to have my haumana be rewarded for their tremendous work and dedication and sacrifice. And and to see their families be rewarded, and it just spreads, right? So after a couple of years, 3 years of that, it was okay, we'll hope again, we go back again and see maybe this time it'll be different. And after they called the kahiko this year, I think we really did throw it out there on this kahiko performance. But when you look at what other halal produced, they're so amazing that how the heck do the judges make a decision? It's really crazy to think that I think even the judges couldn't even decide. It's based on numbers, a bunch of numbers calculated together, and you come out with the outcome. But during this Merry Monarch, after the kahiko happened, and sitting in the stands and just like overwhelmed, super tired, drained, emotionally spent, and happy that we finally finished our performance, you just kind of go, God, I don't know if I could do this again.
I'm gonna need a second win for this one.
I know, and then you know, they called the Awana, and they, you know, 5th, 4th, 3rd, and you know, for guys like us, we're just like at 5th place. If that's not us, you know, it's kind of like, all right, well, I guess we're gonna go back to the drawing table and do it better next time.
You start telling yourself, well, you know, it was an honor just to
be invited.
Like,
yeah, you start to give yourself a couple pats on the back and say, that's okay, we're gonna do it again next year. But this year, after the 4 years of going and preparation, and you know, I leaned over to one of my homana and I just said, oh, I'm not sure if I can do this again. Like I wanted to see my students rewarded. You know, like it wasn't me, it was them. I wanted to see them feel like their work and the aloha that they shared, like their real deepest feelings and how they work so hard to be rewarded. And so honest to God, 5th, 4th, 3rd, I mean, it was done already. In my mind, I was like thinking about all the stuff we had to pack up, and how we're gonna get everybody out, and where's the cars parked, and you know, and make everybody, you know, make sure everybody's safe. And so when they called first place, I don't know if anybody sees the video. It's hilarious because the whole world around me jumped up, and I literally buried my head between my legs, and I think I had to sit there. It was kind of like a little Twilight Zone moment, like, is this happening?
But I think even too, what was because I think what they normally do is they'll call the names of the halaus when they're announcing the winners.
Right.
So everybody
everybody's all waiting for halau hula.
Most halaus start with hula halau, not halau hula. So everybody.
No, most of them start with halau hula.
Really?
We can talk about that another time.
But I remember them saying that. So they're listening for that. But they didn't call the halau name. Yeah. They called your name.
I know, right?
So when everybody heard that, they're like, oh.
and then they had the rest of the name.
Yeah, and it was crazy. I remember I wasn't sitting with you guys on the back bleachers. I was sitting kind of like where we were the first year, like so I could get shots of the stage.
Yeah, in the audience.
Because I was preparing myself to get those shots of you guys walking up.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. Every year I was like, hey, you know, they're gonna call our names, so I'm just gonna be here.
Yeah.
But it was funny. So like you're saying, they called 5th, 4th, 3rd, and I don't know who they were, but there was 2 girls sitting behind me. And after they called the 3rd place name, I think it was somebody who, usually places like the first, like really good every year.
Yeah.
And I heard them say like, whoa, so who's 1st and 2nd?
I never.
And I was thinking like, oh yeah, like oh,
who's it gonna be?
Yeah. It's gotta be us, right? Just wait.
No way.
Just wait and see. You'll see. They're gonna call us. But that was a crazy moment to share that.
Oh yeah. Ugh.
So after they call your name and you go up there, what is it like after? Do you have to do all like the interviews and go on like that kind of like?
Can I just first say like the walking to the stage, it's really surreal because I really was in the middle of one of those deep cries. You know the one you can't really
ugly cry
like
face and all.
Full on ugly cry. I couldn't get a breath out, and I had a bouquet of roses, a bouquet of gardenias in my hand. Shout out to Kumu Hiwa. But I had all these gardenia, and I was just like trying to make it to the stage, and I just remember going down those little stairs, going and walking towards the ramp, and thinking, "Holy beep! I can't believe I'm walking on this stage." And that these girls are walking behind me, and that whoever is up here is also representing everybody who has anything to do with Hala Hula Kalehua Tuhine. And we're representing everyone, their families, their husbands, their children.
It was a win for the entire
It was a win for the Hala.
Anybody who was wearing that shirt,
or
whoever wears that shirt.
Yeah. It was intense. The follow-up was crazy, and then to
Well,
add
actually,
to that,
we
was
should
the
get
overall.
back to we should get back to that. So they took first place in Awana,
Yeah.
and then they have the overall rankings. They have the overall winners, and then so. You can
Yeah,
talk
they had
about
the
that.
overall.
So after everybody's still like in shock and
We were
sitting there
still
like
giggling and
Like,
and trying to behave, you know, like we're like, because we're
You're still on
really
TV.
like out of our minds.
and you're still on TV. You don't
I'm
want
sorry.
to.
So I was like, okay, I could have just partied all year off of 5th place,
Right.
whatever.
Yeah.
So to make it 1st place, and then they started calling overall, and I had just zero thinking that there was anything having to do with us in the overall.
Did you kind of just stop listening already?
Yeah,
'Cause you're still
I
celebrating
totally didn't. I wasn't listening at all. And then they called. I heard them call my name again, and I was like, "What the hell did we just win?" I have no idea. And then I was like, "Oh my gosh!" And you know what was great was I was so stoked that that win meant that the kahiko, all the girls that danced in the kahiko, won.
Yeah.
You know, and
right.
it was like, yes, it was so bittersweet. It was so awesome. And then, you know, I don't know, whoever watches the video, I just cringe every time I watch it. Me going onto the stage to collect it, and thank God for my little daughter, Kahula, who saved me, because I would have made a total A of myself, you know, like walking off the stage, not knowing. But, you know, just in my defense, I've never won an award at Merry Monarch, so I don't know what to do. It's my first time. I've watched it a million times, but obviously didn't pay attention.
I think it's gonna be one of those Merry Monarch moments that everybody remembers.
Oh, yeah.
Remember
yeah,
that Kumu forgot her prize, and her daughter had to say, "Mom, you forgot your thing."
Oh my gosh. But yeah, the follow-up is a lot of interviews, you know.
And how was that? That was.
It's just, you know, it's me telling this story, a later version of this story, that, you know, with ultimate humility, we're totally humbled by the experience. And I for one never want to lose that. Like, I never want to get to a point where they're calling our name, you know, if that ever happens in the future, that we're just like, yay, and, you know, and walking up, you know, I want us to be like feeling that way all the time, that it was hard work, and that anybody could have had that, and we always are appreciative, because I know that it can turn like that. You know, you get ma'a to the same routine, or you get to that space when you're just so awesome, and I throw it up to all those guys who are, you know, there's a big a number of halo that are consistently placing at Merry Monarch, consistently winning, and they, you know, I gotta commend them, because they reinvent themselves every year, and can do it at an excellent level, and that's something to be said about our people and our culture. You know, that it can be done.
Yeah, actually, I was thinking about that. Like, when it comes to getting ready for Merry Monarch, you start looking back through old chants and stuff like that, and stuff mele for what you're gonna use, and you might find something that maybe nobody really looked at or thought about for a long time, and it can bring it back to life in that way. And you know what I mean? Everybody, oh, yeah, there's that one song that we didn't hear in a long time.
That's what we did.
Yeah.
We totally did this year I picked a mele out of the newspaper.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody, actually the lady in waiting to Kapi'olani and Kalakaua, she wrote this, and I think it was probably it was right at the time of when Kalakaua was like trying to make business moves over in Kauai and trying to make a lot of change happen, and there are people who were concerned about when the tides are changing, we have to be more alert and aware, and it was a really cool piece, because it had love, and it was the full on story. It was like the love, appreciation, and then a little drama kind of woven into the poetry, which is really cool. So that's how we did it.
And how did you find that the newspaper, or where did you?
You can access it online too. There's a lot of they've
Actually, is that the one at the when you guys had your thing and they made that announcement about looking for volunteers?
That's one of them.
Like,
There are quite a few sites, but
where they have
it's
actually
super fun to look
or like
through.
copy the digital of the actual.
Yeah. they're looking to preserve those newspapers. So, I mean, to think about how many people wrote mele at that time. There was so many haku mele out there. Like just your regular average citizen.
Right.
You know, and it's a testament to the language and the people, our people's ability, the kingdom's people's ability to use our language through poetry, but to tell their story or their meaning or what their feelings are through mele. And not just straight up words or writing letters to the column or that kind of thing. It was cool. It came out in poetry, and forever.
Were they all kind of like, I guess, current events, like on what was kind of happening during those times?
Usually, or you have your people who wrote love songs for the dear one that went away or whatever, things like that. But yeah, that was their place to vocalize their feelings and their views and their opinions, and it was that's the cool part, because you really got to get a sense of where our people were at that time. Which is what we should be doing. We should be doing a lot of our hakumele now, our writing songs about our present day, and hopefully they'll be doing it from years from now.
Yeah, because there's a lot going on that you could talk about.
There's a lot going on. Yeah. There's a lot going on right now.
I mean,
in this Aloha Aina movement.
Yeah, and
oh, that's a deep one.
Yeah, we could talk about that. Right. I don't know too much about it.
I think the basic knowledge that anyone has to have is if you are of this land, and I won't go as far to say if you don't have the cocoa, but if you are a person
that means blood, by the way.
Yeah, you don't have
Hawaiian
cocoa, blood. I think if you're a person of this land, that you get your vibe from the land that you stand on, this aina, and I truly believe this aina is filled with all kinds of mana. But if you are a person of this land, then that is aloha aina, that you have a relationship with the land, and that your kuleana is to take care of it, and not just in the simplest surface forms of taking, cleaning up and whatever, but to do whatever it is to protect it. To keep it ours,
That's funny, because I've told this story to other people, but I remember it kind of touching back on that is I was driving behind a car. It was like a big lifted truck, and they had the Defend Hawaii stickers huge on the back, and they're all flicking their cigarette butts.
Oh, I know, right.
Like the easiest thing you could have done at that point was not throw that cigarette.
I know, right?
Defend the land that way,
I know, right?
But
there's so it's the full spectrum, and I think we have our younger people who kind of riding on the coattails of the movement. I think either way, if any of our people, our younger generational people, are inspired to listen to, I think that's why I think radicals are really good. I think having radical people, or I guess they would call them radical, but people who make the noise, it makes people listen. And whether they're riding on the back with their, doing this, at least for some part of them, for that one instance, they're paying attention to this issue.
Yeah.
And then, the hope is that the next level would be, maybe I shouldn't throw that cigarette butt out the window. And then I wonder, what this land that I just did that at, where does that come from?
What's the history of it?
Yeah, and and then so on and so forth. Or where did my ohana come from? And where's the land that we have now? And then the larger monumental pieces of land that have extreme historic significance. Then they become more interested about those things. So it's really neat to see our younger generation at the forefront of these.
And it is actually, I do see a lot of younger, like high school age kids.
Yeah, it's a testament to the teachers of today. That means that our teachers are teaching them.
Yeah.
And that's good. So we can't, I can't say, oh, that's not good. It's good.
No, yeah, it's good.
It's good.
It's like, I don't really know how to word it, but just the fact that they're taking an interest at such a young age.
Right.
These are the kids that are going to grow up to maybe take on the bigger issues.
Yes.
Because they'll have
I feel like
the
it's
struggles.
coming.
And I feel like kids are, not all kids, but there's a group of youngsters now that are very much more aware of the BS and the stuff that's going. I'm trying not to swear too much. I could use a lot of words, but yeah, they just seem more aware of the inequality, I guess, of.
Well, that's aloha aina.
Yeah.
They have to be aware now, because now they're aware that without that connection, if they choose to use our places, for example, Mauna Kea or Halekala, if these places are abused, then it's not going to be there for their next generation, the following generations, and they won't have that. The connection is dwindling, you know, and so I think that's their. Oh, I just lost it.
Well, I was gonna say, I think like in this age of technology too, like people are getting lost and not really connecting to like roots and stuff, to the roots.
Something tangible and a feeling.
But I also feel at the same time this technology is like making it possible for the word to spread.
Yep.
I mean, on Instagram, all that social media and stuff like that, you can reach so many people.
Well, that's the goal.
So I think that in a way it can be a major distraction for people, but people with the right mind for it can use it as a tool to spread the message, I guess.
Well, whether it's the people at the front line, you know, the planners or the hula people, or you know, it's all aspects of the thriving local community here in Hawaii. It's kind of it's a system, right? But all of that is based on ma'aina. Everything that anybody does, including the technological stuff, it's all based on the life of this land. Oh my God, I'm just gonna the life of this land is perpetuated in righteousness, and how it remains pono, and when it isn't, then things start to go
crazy.
awry,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. Absolutely.
I mean, it's so
and
crazy.
I think you see that across every country, where people have kind of lost that connection to the land.
To their origins.
Yeah.
It's
true. You get real controversial now.
Right.
But it is. It seems like a lot of the places where, I mean, I don't know maybe the proper word, but like the indigenous or the native cult people who were there, whenever a system comes in and takes over that place, that's kind of what happens.
Yep.
You know, like you look at like in Central America and even in those kind of places in Africa, when you know somebody sees something of value to them, they come in and just take.
Yep. Oh, well, and I think that's the neat part is that we recognize that now. And it's just a matter of how, you know, we can, through Aloha, that movement, you know, I've heard, you know, kapu Aloha, but they are expressing their beliefs and protecting our interests and our kupuna and our traditions and everything through Aloha. And that's across the board. I mean, it's just a medium, right? So hula is, I'm going to come back full circle here.
Perfect.
Hula is definitely a medium for us to do those things. So, you know, whether we're presenting mele about older issues, they're the same issues that we have to face today. It's exactly the same, just different time. You know, and so to know that some kupuna in the past, that one person themselves had the aloha aina spirit to just come forward and I'm gonna write this mele and I'm gonna have it published and speak their mind. That's that one person, and to think that we have the same ability to take that mele, bring a bunch of minds and dancers together in spirits, teach them about that, and have them bring that to life on a huge stage, presenting that to thousands of people.
To the world, really.
What a cool way to do it.
So many people come from all over, and I mean, I'm assuming
it's streaming live, and so there we have the technology helping us.
Exactly.
In this instance, you know.
And the people who are there actually witnessing it will take those things that they got out of that, hopefully take it back to wherever they're from and kind of spread. Because I think this past year they were talking and they had somebody who was there from like Germany or something.
I'm sure.
And they're from MAHALO in Germany.
Yeah, there's halo everywhere.
Yeah, it's crazy.
There's halo everywhere.
That one, I mean, I knew it was big in Japan, but I didn't really think.
Yeah, it's in like everywhere. We're in the Philippines, Guam, Germany. I think Mexico.
Anywhere Hawaiians have gone, pretty much. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I've gone everywhere.
Yeah.
You know, I could go off on that too. You know, you know, King Kalakaua was the first king to ever circumnavigate the globe.
Right.
You know,
and he had electricity at the Iolani Palace before the White House.
Kalakaua certainly was, and it's fitting that Mary Monarch is in honor of him, because he was truly the reason why. You know, I think there are some folks who thought, you know, he was very extravagant, and you know, but I think he was a very smart king, and he knew, and he saw what was happening, and so he and his, you know, there's so many things I think our ali'i were so akamai, and they, even though, you know, Hawaiian people are real smart, they don't have to say what they're gonna do. They're looking, they're taking everything in, and they're gonna do it, and that's what they did. So he was smart. He sent his men to like go all over the world to learn, so that he'd have that knowledge, and then he traveled around the world, met the great ones of all the lands, and I think you know, the melody that he wrote, he was called Kamomi, but he talked about, he said he traveled over many lands and distant seas, to India far and China renowned, touched the shores of Africa and the boundaries of Europe, met the great ones of all the lands. But of one thing that he could boast about is, with of all the beauties locked within the embrace of these shores, one is more precious than any owned by my fellow monarchs. His is the loyalty of his people. So he was basically saying he could go there and see where they rule millions obey their commands. Only a few thousand can he count under his care. But he didn't require bodyguards. He could walk amongst the people, right, you know, without fear, and mingle with them. And I'm getting chicken skin right now. every time I think of that mele and just go, like, that's aloha.
Well, that's true. I mean, you think about that in itself.
Loyalty.
Like even like presidents and stuff don't ride out and open after JFK.
Yeah, right.
That was like the last one to do it. Now, no, you know what I mean? And
right,
to be able to walk among your people and know that, like, I don't have to watch my back. Nobody's gonna come to get me. Like, you don't have that anymore.
Yeah. It's. But yeah, so
it shows that he ruled with love and respect, and more
absolutely,
than fear and like oppression.
Absolutely.
Speaking of, I guess, Kalakaua, we can talk about, because he brought back hula.
Yeah.
It was banned for a while.
Yes.
Or for
a
long time. So yeah, I guess
the influence
they had their, like,
of
secret
the
societies.
missionaries definitely
of
had
hula.
to. Yeah, hula was definitely underground.
But he definitely
he did a lot of things. He made sure that the kumuliko was, you know, kept, and he wrote a book called forgive me, hygiene, personal hygiene for Hawaiian people. I may be mistaken on that title, but basically a book of personal hygiene, because he recognized that our people needed to, because of all the different influences and the influx of foreigners coming to our land, that they were being, you know, that our people were dying. You know, and so he was concerned about how to teach them to take care of themselves. And that was, I mean, that's what a king does.
Yeah.
Like, and his decline was ho'olulahui, increase the nation. That's what he said to his people: go out there and make babies. I want you to make babies, because he knew that, you know, the prophet, you know, we have Au'aia, but the prophet Ka'ulumoku said he foresaw the demise of the Hawaiian people. And so Kalakaua, knowing and seeing what was happening, he knew that he had to do something about it. And so, go make babies,
so
man.
Did he go, like, because I mean, he was more of a modern king than like Kamehameha and
at that time, you know, he was of the time.
Did he go back and like look at those old prophecies of, like, you know?
Oh yeah, I mean, that's one of the beauties of, like, they're called Nalani Eha, but the four royals, you know, we celebrate them because they're brothers and sisters. But Kalakaua, Like, Leleo Hoku, and Lili'o Kalani, they're all royals, and they're all brothers and sisters. But their talent was, they among many others, but they had the gift of poetry as well. But the beauty of their poetry was that they would, within their poetry, they would weave into them the legends. And so it was kind of a smart way of reminding the people the little ways, like, you know, adding in, like, things about laka, or, you know, like the things of real traditional significance, but putting them into their melis that at that time, so that the people would remember, like, that's right, that's who we are.
That's where we
Identity,
come from.
right? Yeah,
Exactly. That's kind of
identity.
what I was
Let's
at,
not forget, it was really smart.
So
It's really
bringing it into the
bring it into
modern
the president,
era, but
right?
always remembering and holding on to where you come from.
Well, I think Hawaiian people in general, I'm not going to say, I think a lot of cultural people, I think for us, it's neat because the rest of the world, they're forward thinking, forward moving, got to look to the future, and we are moving future, but our people look backwards. We look to the past to take us forward. We look to them because they knew better than they knew better than we did. That original, that foundational thinking, and we look to them and we bring them with us forward, which is really cool.
Yeah, I think a lot of the more ancient cultures that I look into have that also.
Yeah.
Where you honor your past, you know what I mean?
Look to the kupuna. Honor them, take care of them, yeah.
If you don't know where you come from, you never know where you're gonna go.
Man, all these things, the older you get, the sayings just keep coming up and going, oh, I get it now.
This is gonna be the podcast of quotes.
Oh, yeah. You know what? I think you should do it. We should do one of those. That'd be really cool.
We were talking all kinds of ideas.
Have them organized by subject matter.
Otherwise, it could just be. But I think that's the fun thing of this podcast format, is that you can just kind of start with something and go.
Go on and on. Yeah, we kind of got off the hula subject, but kind of came back around to it.
It's all still related. Yeah, it's all relevant.
Well, I think the last thought was I keep trying to. I hope I never stop, sharing this with my homeowner, and it. Sometimes I think some people will think, it's redundant. You have to keep, it's monotonous over and over again. You keep saying it. But I have to keep saying it because there's always a new ear, always one person who missed it, and always one more person who needs to hear it one more time. But hula is definitely a feeling, and if you don't allow yourself to feel or feel things, you can't hula. And that is life, right?
And I think as you grow, I mean, even in hula and in life in general, as you mature and you learn more, even if you hear the same thing you might have heard a few years ago, it might resonate with you a different way.
Exactly.
In this time, and you might get more out of it. You might spark something else. So I think.
And that's why we're always evolving, right?
Right.
And that's the struggle. It's like, okay, as we evolve as a people with all the different influences, we have to work harder to keep hula looking like hula. So, and we bring the past forward. We bring the past forward, but we still try to evolve and change and still look like Hawaiian people. Still look like hula.
Still, have it be recognizable as hula.
Exactly. That's a task.
Yeah. Is that what you're trying to?
Yeah. You still want to be innovative and creativity and all. It's exciting. Hula gets really exciting when you get to see things in your mind that you think up in your head, and then you try to get someone to do it, and then they do it, and you go, oh no, this is going to be exciting, and then you have to tell yourself, okay, if I do this, if this is seen by so and so somewhere far away, will they go, oh, that's what hula is? Some funky move that maybe doesn't necessarily come from a traditional space. So there's definitely a fine line that we kind of stay inside because we owe it to our people.
Right. You're not going to be busting out like a backflip or something.
Right,
in the middle
or moonwalking on the stage,
Yeah. But still trying to, do you think because your dances are a little more technical than some of the other ones I've seen.
Yeah.
With all the footwork, and is that kind of...
I think that's my thing.
Attributed to that, trying to innovate and do something new and exciting.
And
so it's almost like combining two traditional moves to make a new thing.
Yeah. I'd say that. I'd say that I'm trying to stay in the box though. I think sometimes I take a little take a risk here and there. But yeah.
Well,
that's
the schools you've come from, were they more focused on tradition?
That's a cool question, but the two main foundations that kind of make me who I am are one that comes from the Long family on Maui, and that's Auntie May Lobenstein and her ohana, the Long ohana, they have a distinct style of hula, and then, you know, at my later part of life, before graduating under Auntie May Klein, she comes from Maiki, who comes from Localia Montgomery, you know, and it just, there is a long lineage as well there, but two completely different styles of hula. And so I believe that I am a fusion of these two styles of hula, equally looking like hula. I think in certain aspects it looks more of this tradition, and in certain times it looks more of that tradition. But I like that. I like that it's like I get to give life to both things.
Right.
You know.
In that sense, because you're taking what you learned from both.
Yeah. And all of the, you know, I think when I think of Chinky, I get the discipline. You know, when I danced for him, it was definitely got discipline there. You know. And you know, Kealoha Kalama at a younger age, is wanting to listen to Hawaiian music and how it sounded then. That's another thing we should talk about, and this is for like the musicians out there. But I love that. I think Hawaiian music needs to come back harder. I think our musicians out there gotta keep recording Hawaiian music, and maybe thinking about listening to the past again, like what our kupuna sounded like, so we can bring that back, so our younger generations know what Hawaiian music sounds like. Because right now they turn on the radio and it's got the reggae vibe to it with the Hawaiian songs or whatever, and that's cool too. But you know, when I was growing up, I'm listening to 1420 AM, right? And I know all the words to the songs because I grew up listening to it. I didn't, you know, have the CDs or the records. I just listened to the radio, and that's how I know all these Hawaiian songs. Well, my kids don't have that opportunity as much, you know. So I see that our generation's facing that issue of how will they know what my music's supposed to sound like?
It's kind of like, my friend's dad is a musician. He told us one time, it's like, think of the bands or the musicians that you like, that you kind of want to, or that inspire you, and go back one step further and look at the bands who inspired them.
Right.
I mean, so I mean, like, for the current musicians, they might be looking back to bands from, you know, the 80s. I mean,
it's like not even that far away.
Yeah, you need to go a few more steps back maybe in that case and find out where it all comes from. I think that ties back into what you're saying, is look at the old mele.
Yeah.
Because that's probably what inspired the people that they were listening to, that inspired them to get into music.
Right.
I think that's always important, is to look at who your inspiration was inspired by.
Yeah.
You know?
But that'd be cool if we could start, you know, hearing more of that kind of on the radio. Period. I don't even know how we could get that to happen.
I mean, they got some stations now, like they
got the Maui station.
Too.
Yeah.
They do the one where the whole program they speak in Hawaiian.
Right. But I'm just saying, like, the choices on the radio stations. Like, when I get in the car, my kids are like, you know, popping into like 105.3, and then I'm just like, yeah. I mean, I love me some good music like that, but I want to be able to turn it to, and you know, thank God 105.1 is still hanging in there. You know, yeah. But you know, even that, it's a challenge for them as a station to keep people listening. So they've got to play that in your contemporary music.
It's almost like you need to find a radio station that isn't going to be dictated by ratings or what, a bigger company. I think that's
never going to happen, right?
But that's why
that's why we have podcasts. They're awesome.
And like Pandora, like, I mean, they have so many old classics loaded up on there that you could listen to find some cool stuff on there.
You should do a podcast with my dad.
That would be cool. I don't know if I'm professional enough. He might. That's a little. I would be nervous for that.
I can help facilitate that.
Yeah, I probably would need you to be there. But
that'd be pretty cool.
Yeah.
You know what'd be really neat is to, like, Uncle Cyril, Pahinui, you know, my dad, any of those guys that are still around. You know, like, I don't think anybody's like, or Eddie Kumae. I think my dad and Eddie are like the only ones still alive. Oh, I'm sorry, Uncle Cyril and Uncle Martin, but from the original crew, Uncle Gabby, whatever. Anyway,
my whole thing is that I don't know if like these kind of interviews are out there for people to hear from. Maybe people that they might want to hear from. I mean, I don't know if anybody from Palau would listen to this, but I think they probably should. I mean, they could learn, you know what I mean? But that's kind of my thing, is even if one person hears this and takes something and it does something for them positively or gets them to want to do something. It's always the goal, even if it's just one person. it's funny. Even,
Whoever you are out there.
Yeah, we hope you
thinking of you.
get it, and thank you for listening.
Thank you for listening.
I gotta say that one every time because if you made it this far, thank you. How long have you been going so far? 15 minutes on.
Oh, not bad. Okay.
Not bad. Seems pretty quick.
Yeah.
Yeah, but is there anything else you want to? A message for the keiki?
Yeah.
Well, actually, going back before we end it, I mean, going back to like music and stuff like that. Your daughter seems to be very.
Which
rootsy
one?
In that Moana.
Oh no, yeah, number 2.
Number 2. She's very seems to be kind of getting into that. She is. She's getting more into this.
She has her own. She has her own. She definitely has an opinion, and I think that's wonderful. But I have to thank the teachers and the leadership at Halo Kumana for that. You know, they are the ones, because she's spending a lot of time her daily, you know, school hours. She's spending with these wonderful people who are leading her in that direction, and not to say giving her the opinions that she has, but giving her a place to take in information that of what's relevant to her life right now as a Hawaiian. And that, I think that's what it is. She's not just as a kid growing up in whatever, but as a Hawaiian child and what her future looks like, and giving her the information, exposing her to the things that are happening around her, and allowing her to make a decision.
Come up with her own opinions,
And then to watch her on her own decide that she wants to go down to the Capitol and stand out there and Oli and just like. There's so ha'aheo, man, ha'aheo novo. It's a lot of pride there too, because we want to see our keiki take the next step forward, and it's nice that, you know, with our busy lives that she's able to do that.
I saw on the OEV TV, I think even the Protect Mauna Kea, the Instagram pages, they had some pictures up from the march in Waikiki.
Oh yeah.
And she was right in the front holding the sign. I was like, oh snap. And when I tagged her in, I was like,
oh, I gotta see that.
That's awesome though.
She's definitely one, and you know, not. I definitely want to say it's not for so she can be out there on the Instagrams or the pictures. That she wants to be there because she wants to make sure that our people survive.
Yeah, I think it's so good that at a young age that she's learning that now.
You know what?
I mean, at any age you learn it. I think as long as it comes to you and you get it.
And as I said, we talked very early on in this conversation about like those people who are out there making the noise, because that picture of her friend or whatever from whatever school she went to before might go, oh, how's my friend Moana? She's out there. What is that about?
Yeah.
And we'll have opened a door for that person to find out more.
Yeah.
So that's the whole goal. I mean, that's the point. So I was just gonna say, you know, recently we got to go to Waimanalo and we participated in kind of an event, summer solstice, called the Ho'ika People. Yeah, and I just wanted to share it with folks that if you get a chance to like look that up or whatever. It was in support of Mauna Kea, but it was really cool for me because I got to hui with some other kumu hula, and we did exactly what we talked about earlier about our goal. Our goal is to make sure that hula stays the same and that our traditions continue on. And we got together. We talked about they talked about what mele to do, and we worked together and we did that. And it was like that's the kind of stuff that we got to be doing as hula people, as hula practitioners. That's how we can contribute to the movements, these aloha ina movements, or anything that we believe in to protect ourselves, our people, to have that kind of thing. And but my point of this telling this story was, it was a perfect venue for my Hawaiiana to have that experience. If they couldn't get to Mauna Kea, if they couldn't get out there because they work, or if they couldn't do anything physically, like I know they feel it, but what can they do to show that, not necessarily what side they stand on, but they support that something needs to be done. And they could come out while we're on this island, you know, and do something that was spiritual, that was hula related, that was connective with other halau, and as a unified people, say our, you know, say our message.
How many different halal were there?
Quite a few.
I watched
there
some
were a
of
lot.
it. I watched some of the online streaming. I was supposed to go, but I didn't make it.
Yeah,
But I was watching it online from they had the live stream on the OEV TV. Yeah. So, but I saw so many Kumu.
There were quite a few, and that wasn't everybody. There were a lot of our generation people. But I gotta thank Auntie Elena Kalamaini for organizing that. It was actually her vision, and she wanted to see all these pahu and these unified people, not what halau you come from or whatever. And that's why we all wore the same kind of kihe. We didn't differentiate ourselves by our our distinctive logos or whatever, and we all just came as a united group. But
was the black and red, is that like the color symbolic of?
Yeah, well, I think it was more red. I can't speak to what her purpose was, but I feel like red is koko, red is protest. Red is I think warning, like this is happening, and I think the black for like the eham, that that's happening. I think that was the idea, but it was kind of neat. It was a whole bunch of different hala. We did pahu and all kinds of mele, and other people shared. But it was neat to see like larger halo and those people that they've graduated and they bring their students, and you could see traditions of hula.
There were actually like lineages there.
Yeah, there, and it wasn't even everybody. I mean, it was hard. It was a hard day. It was on Father's Day, so. To think how many people did come out and how many we could have had, it's gonna grow, and we'll have another one and another one and another one. These things have happened before in the past. There was one called Ilio Ulo Kalani, and that's still kind of. There's a lot of other moments. I was lucky to have been a small part of some of those way back when I was younger.
And those were all.
That had to do with like gathering rates. I mean, and it's a perfect time. There were issues with. They were. The government was trying to. I think there was a bill that was trying to stop Native Hawaiians from being able to gather.
Really?
Like what? And I can't remember now what it was about. It was something like you had to go to your own ahupua. But anyways, beside the point, it didn't go through. But we came together and was like, we can't, because for hula people, that's just totally. Not okay.
Yeah, so you cannot
we can't go up. We can't go and gather the things that we need to make our hula come to life. Yeah. Or for the hunters, and there are a lot of people that it affected. So it was moments like that that's what was a perfect space for us to come forward and go, okay, no, we need to talk about that.
Yeah. Like you do with this one still. I think it's
still happening. We're still in the midst of it, but hopefully. I think we got a lot more people. I've read a lot more things in this controversy and the different sides, different viewpoints, and it's really hard. It's really hard when you start to really look at other people's views and what's factual, what's not factual, and you can't really. It's hard because you can't really rely on media to. You never can.
No,
but that seems to be the only place anybody ever gets anything from anyway.
And I think that it's with this one too. It's because there's so much emotion involved because it is regarding sacred lands and stuff. That it. I mean, I don't know too much about it, but it seems like with some people, I'm glad we had this conversation. But it's more, they come from an emotional standpoint, and I'm trying to educate myself on what's happening. But it's more like
it's hard when emotions are involved.
Yeah, a lot of some people are just like, well, F them,
Yeah,
that kind of like, no, wait, I want to know like why F them.
Yeah. And the tough part is when people are super emotional. That's us. You know what I mean? We're just talking about feelings, man. We're all about the feelings. Everything we got is our feelings. And I wouldn't have it any other way. If you can't have them up there chanting without emotion.
Yeah, exactly.
And that is the best way to express themselves through oli. That's how we do. And I don't think Anyway.
All right. Well, I think
Anyway.
that
Long one. Thanks,
yeah,
guys, for listening.
Yeah, thank you for sticking in with us.
Hopefully, we'll be a little more organized and fat next
No,
time.
yeah, I think as these go, they'll get better and better. But I'll
Yeah.
get more.
I wouldn't mind a couple
acclimated
more
to this.
sit downs.
Yeah, we'll do these. We'll do more with you. We
Okay.
can talk about try and get more topical, I guess, and stick to one thing. But
Yeah.
this is a good one just to try. So
Thanks.
thanks
Thank you,
for
Eric.
sticking. This is Eric for the podcast with Kumu Hiwa.
Aloha, mahalo.
Thanks, you guys. Bye.